it's easy to say na baksak tayo, di ba? Which is, I guess, the answer, di ba?
That's the answer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meetup, the Filipino Freethinkers podcast that's also a video. I'm Red, and I'm joined today by Dr. Reina Reyes, astrophysicist, data scientist, superhero to many of her fans in the Philippines. I am one. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Red. Happy to be here.
Great. And we have we're trying a new thing. So I called it the Meetup. This is the first time we've called the podcast the Meetup.
Oh, cool.
We also have this star background dedicated to you.
Thank you.
And we are doing, for the very first time as well, the State of the Science Address. So kind of like a sauna, which is, in a few months still. But while you're here, I want to hear from you, your take on how the Philippines is with regards to science. So we'll check many different factors. So let's start with the citizens. So grade our citizens. How literate, science literate is our country?
Oh, wow. Yun nga, I guess the caveat is I haven't done any research on this particular topic, diba? So it's really more of a
just a general sense.
Yeah. As a citizen who's been back for maybe a few years now, and also as a scientist, diba, working professionally in this field, we have a very, of course, skewed view.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I would try to balance it also with parang knowing that I don't know. So, and also the perspective of the global perspective, because it's easy to say na baksak tayo, di ba? Which is, I guess, the answer, di ba?
That's the answer.
Pero I would temper it by saying na we're not alone. This is actually not uncommon, di ba? If you look across the globe, there's really this problem of science education and science communication. So it's a tough problem. It's not like we're not
doing something, right?
We're not doing something. But also, it's not like it's a solved problem in other countries. It's just that we all have parang our own context and we have to do more, basically, to bridge that gap.
So our citizens, like if you'd have to give it a letter grade, like would that be like a D maybe or a E? I don't know. We didn't use a letter grading system.
Baka nga, incomplete.
Incomplete data.
Diba,
that's fair,
diba,
that's fair.
No, I mean, diba sa school, sa college, if hindi mo tinapos lahat ng requirements mo, ang ibibigay sa'yo na grade ng teacher is incomplete, INC. Which means na hindi mo nagawa yung parang requirements, diba? And I think, kaya ko naisip yun sa analogies because nga, in our parang education system, parang it's not the fault of the person, di ba? Pero hindi niya nakuha yung proper education on what science is, how it works. And ang nangyayari, for the most part, is it's memorization of facts, of dry facts na. And so may misconception of what science is. So even that fundamental thing, parang incomplete yung ating view of what science is.
So incomplete for the citizens in general, but for the Flat Earth Society?
F.
F. Okay, clear. Okay, grade our scientists, our science professionals, people in in STEM. Like, what do you think of them? Like, because you've featured a lot of them in Pinoy Scientists.
Yes.
.com. You should definitely visit that site. So what do you think of our scientists?
Yes, I think we are underappreciated and undervalued. No, but because a lot of Filipino scientists are doing good work, both here and around the world, but we just don't hear about them. So that's one of the parang gaps that the Pinoy Scientist site and Facebook page is trying to fill. Parang showcasing their profiles and their work. And then hopefully an invitation for more young Filipinos to consider this as a career. And so these scientists are role models.
Great.
So I would grade them an A.
Okay.
Sabi ko nga bias to eh. Pero it's really, I mean the scientists themselves, even the fact that they are in science and the fact that they are doing the work here, is a testament to their dedication. Of course, ibang grade yung ecosystem, which is, I guess, what we'll talk about also next.
Yep. Okay, what about the media? So I'm talking not only about journalists, traditional or social media journalists, but also like entertainment. Like how is like science in those fields? So do you think that the media contributes to science illiteracy or science literacy, or is the media well versed in those things?
Again, hindi ako ganun ka-exposed.
Yeah.
But I guess merong factor na parang incomplete din. Kasi it's just like, it doesn't exist. So parang there's really not even something to
no Bill
talk
Nye,
about. Kasi,
right?
kasi, yeah, it's not even considered.
Yeah.
Like, for example, it would be great, for example, if in a telenovela, there's a character who is working on a science project, for example. Like in Big Bang Theory. Or kahit na parang just as a matter of course, di ba? Na parang yung pinsan niya, di ba? Is actually a scientist.
Or movies about scientists, right? Or Filipino scientists.
So in that case, in that sense, malaki yung gap. And then on those small percentage of cases na may science nga, then yun yung pwede na natin i-grade separately, di ba? Pero from this context, and then ang question is, yun nga, are they parang treating science parang seriously or not? I guess it really depends eh. Ano siya eh, I mean, depends on the treatment. Pero there's this danger pa rin talaga na in media because nga there's yun nga yung understand ko eh, very short times to prepare. So, and then yun nga din because incomplete nga yung background in science of the people who are di ba, of everyone. So therefore also of the researchers and the journalists. Then may tendency na maging superficial yung treatment, or baka nga parang may recent na parang yung false balance of na parang okay, let's interview a UFO expert,
exactly,
and then we'll interview you as the scientist, so parang
50-50.
Parang 50-50, pero yun nga, I just voiced my concern na sana hindi naman ganun yung lalabas kasi clearly it's not
like that.
The same,
on that note, every year around October, around Halloween, I sometimes go on these shows to be the other side. You know, people talk about the existence of ghosts and demons and demonic possession and all that, and I would be on the other side giving the skeptic side, right? And it would be great if they can interview actual scientists, you know, to tell, nope, we don't have any evidence for that. And I'm not talking about
or to explain it scientifically.
Exactly.
Like, for example, as a phenomenon of the mind.
That's all I say.
Or
you know, like
and all of this, right? Interesting.
So,
pero yun nga, di ba? Parang we are constrained by this box that how media frames it.
Because it sells. Those stories sell. Aliens, monsters, demons, and all that. That gets you views online or ratings on TV.
Exactly.
So you're right. And finally, for the last grade, are politicians. So how good are they? I'm sure you've spoken to several politicians by now, and what do you think is the? You try not to. That's very understandable. But what do you think? How are they in science?
No, I guess I would skew this to yung relevant na I talked about kanina, which is the ecosystem for science in the country. That's separate pa from yung how science is being applied for public policy, for example, which is, I guess, part of yung politicians' grade, di ba? Kasi parang these are our top decision makers, and parang do they consider data and science in making policies? And I think ang layo natin, unfortunately. So yun, sa akin, talaga yun. Kasi I think even for on all sides, parang we really default to the either parang more political allegiances or emotional or personal, anecdotal, di ba? Parang arguments or even biblical arguments. Parang wala talaga yung scientific argument when you talk about parang public policy issues.
I've been in Congress many times and I keep waiting for it, like, come on, bring out the science.
Or some numbers.
Statistics. At least statistics, right? But,
right.
Nah.
But this is the thing, no? Parang chicken and egg siya kasi, di ba, we don't have the data, but at the same time, because it's expensive to get the data, we're not getting the data because it's not being used anyway. And then, for me, parang, yun nga parang hindi ko rin alam where to start kasi parang, sayang din parang, even if you, parang, do a study, for example, as scientists, that's what we do, di ba? We do studies. And then, parang the hope is for policymakers to
use that data.
To use the studies, di ba? Pero, parang if it's not being picked up, then babalik sa amin na parang what we do is not relevant, di ba? So, parang chicken and egg din siya. So, I guess that's parang one part of the answer. And then, the other part of the answer is yun nga, how do we, na medyo na-touch na, kasi nga, parang how do we improve the ecosystem for scientists in the country, di ba? I think, kakabit nga nun is yung importance ng science in the public policy space because that justifies using taxpayers' money, for example. But the good thing is, despite all this, there's actually a lot of funding for science research in the country now. Definitely much improved parang scenario than when I left maybe now more than 10 years ago. And so it's actually an interesting time for young scientists.
Things are looking up.
It's like, di ba, parang your challenges are different kasi now you have the money. The challenge is how you spend it. Turns out kasi procurement issues na yung So, at least, di ba, that's the next step naman. Before, the problem was wala kang pera. Ngayon, may pera ka na. The problem naman now is how do you spend the money
in the most productive justifiable
timely way so that you can actually do your experiments and then run your lab. So, parang yun naman yung we're trying to figure out. But in general, it's actually promising na a lot of young scientists are also coming back and trying to do their science.
That's great. I mean, a decade ago, or even like when I was growing up, I didn't have a Dr. Reina Reyes to look up to, as a scientist. Like, I had stories of the Filipino who invented the incandescent light.
Si Flores.
Or
fluorescent, actually fluorescent.
Sorry, the fluorescent.
Yes.
Something fluorescent, right? Or the grenade or the Armalite or whatever, which were not true, but we were taught that in school. That's what we had growing up. We didn't have people like you, or maybe even people like us or other groups who debunk these unscientific.
Right.
So things are looking up.
Look at the trends.
The trend is definitely looking up. There is a budget for it. We need the scientists to actually use it, and the politicians who will believe this is relevant. That public taxpayer money should be spent on that. So overall grade for the Philippine State of the Science Address, incomplete, would you say, for now? An overall grade for the Philippines.
Overall grade? Ang hirap naman. Sige, pwedeng C.
I was thinking that as well. Okay, C.
Awa. But looking up, di ba?
Looking up. It's on the upward trend. Definitely.
Let's see next year.
And one test that we actually placed high in the Philippines is this Perils of Perception.
Okay.
Right? Perils of Perception test of Ipsos. That's the organization that run this. And this is a test that saw how well-versed our citizens are at determining the dangers in society. Like how realistic they are.
Okay.
And what they found was that we are third in the countries who get it very, very wrong.
Wow.
So I think it was Brazil, Africa, South Africa, Brazil, and then the Philippines. So we get it wrong. And the interesting thing is, we're also third in the people who are most confident about their knowledge, right?
Yes,
you remember this study?
Yes,
So we don't get it wrong. We get the statistics so wrong. Like in even sometimes 10 times wrong. Like there's like how many people have diabetes? We overestimate that. We overestimate all of the problems of society. Right? And an interesting fact that I always want to put side by side with that is that we are number one in social media use.
Interesting.
So we are very wrong about what's dangerous about our society, and we are also very much immersed.
Number one tayo.
We are number one. We are almost, even though like our numbers for 2016 were a bit lower, we were above 4 hours. Our 2017 number was 3 hours and 58 minutes.
Ganun din.
Every day. The time we spend on average on social media. So we top the world in that.
Top the world. Wow. Because we have free Facebook.
Yeah, that's also one of those things. But other countries that have free Facebook do not come close to our numbers, right?
We also are high in the Facebook penetration, because all your friends are on Facebook.
Yes.
So parang these two combined.
But even that, our country overestimates the number of people who are on social media. And the number of people who have smartphones. We overestimate it. So that we think that what social media says is the pulse of the entire country, when it's not the case. I mean, we are very low actually in comparison to other countries. Yet despite that, we use it so much. So those are the interesting things, right? And
so that's explained by this selection effect, right? Because you basically extrapolate to the whole world or to the whole universe what you see in front of you, and also what what your friends or what people also like or also do or also have. And so that is parang magnified nga by the social media, because that's all you see, and then therefore you become more extreme. And this is the problem that you are alluding to, which is that we are becoming more parang siloed and polarized and more extreme, and it's being driven and now we're learning it's not so it's actually random, not so unconsciously, actually deliberately by these social media companies, because it also profits them. And it's only now that the system is sort of trying to correct itself, so that's something to follow also.
This is now what you are focused and passionate about, right? Data science. So can you tell us a bit about your work on that? You consult for several companies, Deal Grocer, one of them, and others. So what exactly do you do for these companies?
Yeah, sure. As you said, parang we're actually in this as professionally also, no? But that's because there's no denying that data is
powerful,
and mining the data for insights and value for companies can really pay off for companies in terms of increasing revenue, increasing engagement with customers, that all businesses, of course, want and need to grow. So, as a professional data science consultant, that's what we do. But of course, there are many aspects of this. So, for example, increasing efficiency in a plant. It is also an application of data science, because now you get a lot of data collected from the different, for example, machines. So that's part of IoT. But also even any kind of data that's being logged. The idea is now we have the tools and the computing power to process all this data using algorithms to give you a more optimal answer or to recommend things, steps that the business can take to improve their processes, to increase efficiency, etc., etc. So that's the parang practical view or practical applications of data science in terms of industry use. And I guess ang point nga dito is any powerful tool that science and technology gives us can be used for any purpose.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. And that's really part of it. I mean, since fire was discovered, di ba? Up to the weapons of mass destruction, there's no keeping it na, you can only use science for good, no? That's why it's always been, some people saying, neutral, di ba?
Yeah.
Because the same tool can be used for good or bad or any purpose.
So let's go now to Cambridge Analytica. That's really what opened that can of worms and showed everyone the devastating power of data. That it can be weaponized, it can be used to hijack democracies even. Like, I don't think that's even an exaggeration anymore,
right?
Because it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's data coupled with manipulation and misinformation.
Yes.
But because of the data that allows them to target people and even match how they will craft the message to you, because of your personality. That's essentially what they did.
They took, right?
They got the big 5 traits in psychology, which is also like a scientific discovery.
Conscientiousness and stuff like that,
Yes, openness, introversion.
Yeah.
But then the messaging, is like the dark arts of advertising and all of that, no? And I guess also there's a science to that when you think about it. But then the coupling of that, really, I think that's the formula that worked, and therefore being used not only by Cambridge Analytica but by,
even maybe here,
firms,
like Facebook did teach Duterte's campaign team some stuff, right? But we don't know. We have pictures, but we don't really know if how they dealt with Cambridge Analytica. But we do know that in the US, it actually happened, right? In other countries around the world, it has happened and it is happening. So we are being manipulated by powerful forces, right? That know how we think, that know the best messages to tell us. So how can citizens, the average citizen, protect themselves from stuff like this?
Yes, that's hard, no? Because yung advertising nga lang na normal advertising ng TV or posters, di ba? Already has parang a strong effect on us na we do not consciously we're not consciously aware of. But now parang this is another level of that, because
it's that on steroids.
Oh, it's
right?
that on steroids.
Yeah.
And so it really takes a strong yun nga di ba? It actually parang requires us to be stronger, like in our own identity, in our own characters. But also there's this fun thing that went around na I actually think is interesting. It's like, instead of deleting Facebook, you confuse Facebook. So you just
hashtag confuse Facebook.
Hashtag confuse. So you like different things. So parang you're a vegan, but also you like KFC or burgers.
Okay.
Or yung political affiliation then, di
So
ba?
you like pro-Duterte post?
Yeah, and then
and anti-Duterte post?
Yes, you're part of both groups, di ba? So now parang the algorithm wouldn't know what to do with you kasi it cannot group you with these people. And so you don't necessarily get like more extreme in one view or the other. And actually, I mean, that's tongue-in-cheek, right? But on the other hand, it actually, I think, sends a message which could be one answer to your question, which is just go outside your comfort zone. Yeah, your echo
bubble.
chamber. Like reach out to people that have different experiences.
Yeah.
And actually listen, because that's what's missing in our world. And yun nga, it became even more extreme. And see where they're coming from, because may pinagagalingan naman lahat yan, di ba? Like, we cannot assume that the other person is stupid or ignorant.
Or malicious.
Or even, malicious, right? And then the other person also assumes it about us.
Yeah.
Of course, the question is, can that happen online? And that's the question mark, di ba? So now there's also this move to go offline, di ba? Really meet people, maybe this meetups
that is very important,
or even, just, when you're riding the bus, or, I mean, in the church, or in social gatherings, di ba? Parang, and not necessarily to talk about the parang contentious stuff, but really just their experiences. And because these are all parang broadens our perspective and also makes us more parang maybe hopefully less susceptible to simple solutions and simple arguments that if we do this, it fixes this.
Yeah.
But that parang puts more nuance and more complexity because the world is complex.
Yeah. I think it's easier now to sell those suggestions. Like, for example, you can tell Duterte supporters, I'm addressing you right now. Facebook is using Rappler and Verifiles to fact check sources, and you want to leave Facebook. You don't have to leave. You just have to like anti-Duterte pages and posts and join those groups and talk to people civilly so that you confuse Facebook. Right? So if you really want to screw with Facebook, like the anti-Duterte pages and posts and engage with people in a very fair and meaningful and non-troll-like way. And that's really how you stick it to the man, right?
Yeah, and for everyone.
I really hate. Let's hate on Facebook and confuse Facebook. I agree with you. So
mess with their business model.
So, as a woman in science, right? I assume, of course, you are a feminist as well. It's very important to identify as a feminist nowadays. That's one of the challenges, misogyny around the world. Is it challenging to be a woman in science still? I know that it is, but is it as bad as it is? Like in the US, they have revealed so much bad things about how women are treated there. How is it in the Philippines?
Yeah, so I actually talk about this openly. It's really, for me, it's better here than in the US. So for me, I don't take that for granted. I feel lucky that I can be a Filipina in science. And I think across all fields. So it's not saying that we're okay here, diba? It's just that...
It's not perfect. Yeah.
What I say is that it's not worse in science than in any other field. So like the machismo cuts across, di ba?
Yes.
Whereas in the US, for example, there's a certain parang
old boys group,
it's worse. Although I guess in all positions of power, because at the end of the day, it's about power, I think. So for example, in the undergrad level, it's 50-50 in science, di ba? But as you go up, it skews, di ba? So parang there's something happening in between, di ba? Whereas for us, I would say that we need more scientists regardless of gender.
Definitely.
Walk of life, di ba? Parang we just need a bigger pool. So I talk about needing more scientists. We need more women scientists because we need more scientists, not because we
period,
need...
yeah.
Period, yeah.
So, one other thing that I think you're passionate about is giving commencement speeches and graduation. And
this is actually new. New. And so for me, it's like, wow, I'm getting to that age because now I can be invited to speak in graduation ceremonies because just this year, I've gotten an invitation to 3. So, and the first one for college.
Yeah.
So I gave the speech at Ateneo de Davao recently. And then this May, I'm going to speak in St. Jude IB graduation and Pisay Baguio actually, the end of May. Looking forward to that. So, no, I welcome it. I think I'm still young, but I have a decade of working experience after school. And so parang trying to get some nuggets out of that to share with the graduating classes. But also, I personally don't remember any of the speeches in my undergrad. So I also take that with not so seriously. It's just, you just need someone to speak for 20 minutes before they get their their diplomas, which is what they're really there for. So,
okay, so for our audience and for all of the people who want to have a career in science, can you give us the Cliff Notes summary TLDR version of one of your commencement speeches?
Wow.
What do you tell them to inspire them?
No, I say go for it. It's there are many parang things na because in culture parang there's this floating around negative things about being parang a scientist or pursuing a science career. So parang I just say, di ba, go for it if that's what your interests are, and then may sasalo. So for example, yun nga, there's a community of scientists who will be your mentors, role models, and so reach out and we'll help you along. And it's not always easy, but there's fulfillment in this life of the mind, life of contributing.
Okay, thank you so much, Reina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please like, share, subscribe, and do check out PinoyScientist.com, the website, and Pinoy Scientists
on Facebook also.
On Facebook as well. And on behalf of Tin, Pepper, Max, our millions of staff, see you next week.